How are you?
Good morning, everyone. It's Tom Sydney Bushnell here, aka Numbers. Welcome to the Tom Numbers Show, top of your game in association with Psych.Club. And I have a fantastic guest with me today. It's Mr. SVEN-GÖRAN ERIKSSON, the former England manager and manager of many football teams such as Lazio and Roma and Manchester City. And me and Sven have known each other for a long time. Sven, it's a pleasure to have you here. How are you, sir?
The pleasure is mine. I'm fine, thank you. And you?
Yeah, very good, very good. So what I do on the show is it's the podcast. It's about numbers, numerology. So, for example, A is the first letter of the alphabet, so it equals 1. B is the second letter of the alphabet, so it equals 2. C, 3, etc., all the way through to Z. So we'll talk about football in your career, but I'll notice a few things in the numbers, which just makes it a bit different, a bit interesting. So that's what it is. That's why they call me Tom Numbers. That's the nickname they give me.
Tom Numbers, okay.
Tom Numbers, you got it. Yeah, Tom Numbers. Brilliant.
Okay.
I wore a T-shirt for you today, Sven, London, because
London.
You used to live in London and very close, actually, just the other side of the park. I live on one side of Regent's Park, you live on the other, or you used to live on the other.
I lived at Park Village East, very close to the Regent Park, a beautiful place.
Yeah, amazing place, amazing place. So, as we mentioned just before, Sven, when I talk about numbers, a lot of my guests will know that A is the first letter of the alphabet, so it equals 1. B is the second letter, it equals 2. C, third letter equals 3, all the way through to Z or Z. I add up the numerical value of the word. And the proper name for numbers, numerology, is gematria. Gematria equals 74 when you spell it, but it also comes to the word London when you spell it. So I thought it was appropriate to say that. And the word English, because you used to be the English football manager, English is 74 as well. So it's just a little bit of interest there, Sven. So it's very fun. Yeah. And I also did some numbers for yourself. So if you do Sven, the word Sven comes to 60, which comes to diamond. Göran comes to 55, which comes to JFK JR, as in the Kennedys. 55 also comes to heaven. ERIKSSON, you'll like this one, Sven. It comes to 110, which comes to Marylebone. Marylebone, which is the area, Regent's Park. You were on the Camden town side, but Regent's Park is Marylebone. It's also president, and you used to be, kind of the honorary president of the FA because you were England manager, etc. So all of those things. But add them together, it comes to 225, which comes to, interestingly enough, it comes to time travel, time machine. So I thought that was interesting. And also your birthday, both you and me are born in February. February comes to 96, which is spaceship. 5th comes to 49, which is yes. Add them together, comes to 145, which comes to numerology. So February 5th, your birthday, so 145, which comes to the word numerology, which is a form of what we're doing today. So that's interesting, Sven. So I thought I'd share those things with you. But anyway, that's just a little taste of the numbers. So let's ask you a question, Sven, about your career and about football. The subtitle of the show is Top of Your Game. You've mentioned many times that in football, you believe that it's a big part of the game is the mental preparation. You even talked specifically about maybe one of the things you would have done differently with England with penalties is to take a mental coach. What are your thoughts on the mentality of the game in football and how people and players can prepare better for mentality?
Well, I think today most sports using a mental coach, and football is one of them, even if I think football was very late with it. But today, I think most of the big clubs, they have a mental coach working individually with players or working in group with players. And you had a very good example when you talk about penalty shootouts. I think that's 90% a mental game when you come to these, because it's life or death. You are in or you go home. And normally when you're talking about the Euro, World Cup, it's stadium are full, television, millions of people. And of course, when you walk from the midline until the penalty spot, how many thoughts going through your head? Because those guys who take that penalty, technically, they score always on training, but you can never train it, because when you are in this situation, it takes too long time. You have to, you got the possibility to think too much when you walk, and you shall take it. And you can only lose. Of course, you can win if you score, but you have everything to lose. The goalkeeper, he has everything to win, because you don't really expect the goalkeeper to take a penalty. But when they do it, they got heroes. And you expect the player taking the penalty to score.
Yes.
And if he doesn't, it's... so this is a good example for mental coaches to take part of a football team. But I think also in other occasions, you have those kind of players. In training, they are very, very good. In friendly games, they are very good. They're scoring, they have confidence. When you come to bigger games, they can't handle it. And that's mental things.
What would you say, Sven, in your opinion, is one of the best players or best teams you've seen that had that mentality? Because the whole thing of, teams practicing, very flash players can do everything, but on the pitch, when it really matters in finals, who have you seen that is one of the best, or was one of the best mentally?
Well, in my career, I had one Swedish player and I had one player from Croatia. The Swedish player, that was many, many years ago. Torbjörn Nilsson was his name, and he was fantastic in training. He was probably the best striker I ever seen, I've ever worked with, I would say.
Really?
But when we came to games, he failed. He was nervous. He was afraid to do mistakes and things like that. So I asked him if he wanted to have a mental coach to work with, because I told him I can't do anything more with you. And he accepted, and in 6 months he became probably the best striker in Europe. Liverpool wanted him, Roma wanted him, German clubs wanted him, and so on. So that was thanks to a mental coach. I had another one in Lazio, Alan Boksic.
Yes.
Fantastic player in friendly games and training, scoring for fun. Yes. He came to games, and for my first year in Lazio, I think he scored 1 goal in the whole season. And he missed 100, I guess it was. The same there. I spoke to him and invited him into a mental coach. And after half season, the season after, when he worked with a mental coach, he had scored 10 half season. I think he was up in 18 or something. He almost was he was not the best goal scorer in the league that year, but he was very high. And that was the same there. He became another player by working. And I'm sure that there are a lot of players out there we look at every weekend, and national teams who has the same experience.
Yes, for sure. So one of the things, Sven, I remember that you're, well, maybe not so famous for, but when you were, you're from Sweden, and I read in one of your biographies that you used to be a ski jumper.
Yeah, a bad one.
A bad one.
Yeah, I was like the eagle. What did you say? The
Eddie
English.
the
Maybe a little bit better if you compare with others. But, you know, yes, I was a ski jumper and was competing on local, in the part of Sweden where I'm from, and also in Norway a little bit. But that I started when I was 8-9 years, and I finished when I was 15. And I was not really that good, but it was winter time, you know, and the winter time in Sweden at that time, we didn't have any indoor football pitches. So there were no football winter time. You had to do something else if you wanted to do something in sport. So it was ice hockey, cross country skiing, and jumping, ski jumping.
Fantastic. Well, if you do the phrase a ski jumper, which you were, it actually comes to 1, 2, 3. So 123. So I thought I'd share that one with you. But the reason I bring that up as well, Sven, is because that must take a certain mentality. It shows that people see you as Sven as very calm, and that seems to be one of your attributes. Under pressure, just always remain calm. But you also have this element where you can take risk, you can do kind of potentially dangerous things, but you can associate the risk and balance it out and take the action anyway.
Yeah, I know. But Tom, it's I think it's very important to know that if you want to start ski jumping, you cannot start when you are 30. Okay. Because you would never do it. It's too scary when you're standing up there and you know that you're going to fly 50, 60, 70 meters or things like that. You don't start with that when you're adult. You have to start with it when you're a young boy and you are not afraid of anything. And I started when I was 8, I think it was.
Okay.
Because if you never have tried it, if you go up there high, and looking down, oh, it's scary. I don't know if I would do it today. But it's great fun to fly. It's beautiful.
I can imagine. When I watch it on TV, it feels like you're flying. You know, it does feel like that, but to actually do it as well is incredible.
Yeah.
And that says as well, what that leads me to think, Sven, is your consciousness, your mentality. It must be of a certain caliber, you know, at least when you were young and then you took it into adulthood. But another thing that I read is that you always believed you would be England manager.
No, Tom, but...
Is that not true?
No. I believed when I started to be 20, 25, and especially when I stopped playing football because I was not good enough to be a good professional footballer.
Yes.
Then my dream was to be a professional manager, coach. Okay. And professional means outside Sweden, because at that time, I'm talking about late 70s, early 80s, football was not professional at all in Sweden. Everybody worked and then they played football. Okay. So my dream was to come out, but no, to be England manager. I never ever thought about it because I knew that was impossible. And before me, it was impossible. So no, I never dreamt of it, and I never thought I should have that job. Never.
Okay, I must have misread that then. I thought it was I thought it was in one of the books I read a long time ago that you always felt you would become England manager, but I must have misunderstood or misread that. So,
I think that was a dream too big to be true.
Okay, but it came true. It came true, you know.
It came true.
Did come true.
Life is beautiful.
It is. Life is beautiful, Sven. And I mentioned the word consciousness. Another meaning for that is if you spell out consciousness, it comes to 175, which comes to Diana Frances Spencer, interesting enough. So Princess Diana, her full name. But I thought that was interesting. Consciousness 175, and life is beautiful, and she was a beautiful woman, and still her spirit, you know, lingers. So yeah, I thought that was beautiful. And talking of things that are beautiful, I mean, You love beautiful women. I love beautiful women. I met Ivanka Trump in 2015 in Manhattan. Got a picture with her. And what's your advice in regards to women? Briefly, what would you suggest? Or
Advice.
Women are beautiful. Any advice? You've gone out with many beautiful women in your time. Any advice? Any thoughts?
No, not really, Tom. I mean, you think certain women are beautiful. Maybe I think the opposite. I don't like those who you like to be beautiful. So
yes,
but
yes.
that's very, very personal. What kind of people you like, and so no advice. No, I don't have any advice. I'm not the right man to give advice about that, I think.
Okay.
Let's keep to football.
Yes. No, I wasn't going to go further. It was just you said the word beautiful, and I just thought, in terms of life, though, in general, what are some of the mottos, some of the principles that you try to espouse in life and in football, and so maybe life and football are intertwined, they're inseparably connected. What's your kind of main foundation principles?
Yeah, but I am one of those who think life is beautiful.
Yes.
And I don't think we appreciate it always. When you wake up, you are healthy.
Yes.
Maybe you have a job to go to. In my case, I have a job, but not on full time anymore because of my age.
Yes.
But life is really beautiful. But you have people around the world to try to do the opposite of life. And we have Putin and his gang over there today. And I'm not afraid to say public. He must be crazy, stupid and crazy. Because what he's doing, that's absolutely awful. And I really hope he never, ever comes back to political power or whatever it is. Biden said something the other day, and it was controversial or whatever it was. I think it was the best thing Biden ever said in his life. He said that this guy cannot be in charge anymore, and he referred to Putin. That's completely right. That's what 99% of all people in the world thinking, but they don't say it. So what Biden said there, that was absolutely fantastic. I mean, it's not the first time we have other people starting a war because of petrol, because of gas, because of money, because of power, because of whatever. But it's absolutely crazy. And I'm sure that 99.99% of people in the world, they don't want a war. We want love. We want to have a beautiful life, and we want peace, and we want football. We want whatever we want. But the last thing we want is a war. And still 2022, in Europe, one nation, soldiers killing people. Incredible, absolutely incredible. And as a human being, we have to do everything we can to stop it. Putin, just stop it.
Well, hopefully, Sven, we'll have peace very soon, and maybe in time we'll learn even more truths about the world as a bigger story, as a bigger picture. And we want peace. I agree. We want peace on Earth for 1,000 years. We want to go into this millennial period where everyone lives happily with each other. And I totally want peace, just like you and the rest of the world. And you mentioned as well your age. You said I looked up, if I remember rightly, because your birthday, 5th of February, you're age 74 right now. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. So another link to the numbers. 74 is London, 74 is English, and 74 is the word gematria, which are the numbers. So I thought that triggered it. So there you go. It seems appropriate. That
incredible, Tom.
Exactly. It's incredible. And talking of beauty, football is described as the beautiful game, Sven, as you know, and as many people will know. So I wanted to ask you, what is your 1 to 11 of all-time players that you would pick if you had a dream team, and it can be players that are playing now or people that have played in the past, and some of them may have died.
Then Tom, you have to phone me back next week and I will prepare that, because I had so many.
Okay.
But if you phone me in 1 week, I can make an English team.
Yes.
Against the rest of the world team. And that will be a lot of good football players.
Okay, that's part 2 for us there, Sven. That's perfect. We'll do that for sure.
Yeah,
definitely. 1 to 11 of all-time English players, and 1 to 11 of all-time.
But now I'm talking only about players I had as a manager.
Yeah,
with players I managed.
Okay, so you
there will be 2 extremely good teams. I promise you, Tom.
Okay, let's do that, Sven. I'd love that. That would be fantastic. All the England players you managed, 1 to 11, and then rest of the world players. Okay, you're on. That's part 2, Sven. Brilliant.
Yeah. Okay.
And another thing, Sven, is outside of football, what are some of your hobbies and interests? People would maybe be interested in knowing what kind of other passions do you have. Football is one of your passions, for sure, and beauty in life and having a good life.
I exercise more or less every day, walking, running, playing paddle, playing tennis, going to the gym, swimming a little bit.
Yes.
Because I feel physically good, but even more mentally when I do it.
Yes.
I'm not trying to win any big games or big marathons or things like that. I do it just because I love it, and I feel very well doing it. Other things, I like to read, especially memories and historic things. I'm looking at news and football on TV. Very seldom I look at a film or something like that. Okay. Before the Corona, I like to travel. But Corona killed most of the plans, and I've not really come back to it. But I will start to travel again, and I have some speeches here and there, which I like. Yes, I have a good life, and I'm very happy, even if I'm not sitting on the bench of England or Sweden or Liverpool. I'm happy anyhow.
Before we go, Sven, like we said, we'll do the 1 to 11 for your team, England team, and rest of the world next week. But other than yourself, who do you think that maybe Manchester United will hire as the new manager? Anyone you think, if it was your job to pick, do you have a preference on who you might go for, or who you think could go for?
That's a difficult question, very, very difficult. I always thought for months that United have the manager they have now. It's for just the rest of the season, and I thought they had one already in the back of the head. It should be strange if they didn't.
Yes.
I don't know who it should be, but I mean, I know one who for sure. I don't know if it's going to stay in the job he has, Mancini. He was considered one of the best coaches in the world some months ago. When he won the Euro. Yes. Now, I don't know if he's going to stay in Italy because they were knocked out. They will not take part of the World Cup, which was incredible. There you have a good name for sure.
Roberto,
but I don't know who. I think the board of United will decide, and I hope they do it right, because United has not been what people expect United to be since Sir Alex was there.
Yes,
and that's a long time now, and they tried many different managers with okay results, but not the Manchester United we saw with Ferguson during, I don't know, a lifetime, more or less.
Yeah, lifetime, yeah. And talking of Ferguson, I think there might be other people who have done it. I don't recall any. You played him 3 times, I believe, and you won 3 times.
Yeah. I guess I'm the only one.
Yeah, I think so.
We were, maybe we deserved to win all 3 games. One was with Lazio, the European Super Cup. We won 1-0. And then twice in the Derby City against United. And of course, there were big games and a lot of expectation. And the big favorite at that time was United. City was not what City is today. Yes. But we managed to win twice, and that was very, very good. Of course. Good for the fans, because I think at that time for City to beat United, that was probably the match of the year for many fans at that time.
Oh yeah, well that would have been at that time. It was probably
today it's more normal.
Yeah, today it's more normal. And just before you go, Sven, we talked about managers. You talked about Roberto Mancini. Obviously, Gareth Southgate. So Gareth was one of your players. I know Gareth a little bit. You probably know him better. Actually, interesting enough, the word manager comes to 59, which also comes to Gareth. So it seems appropriate that he's the manager. But my question is, did you see Gareth as a potential manager when you had him as a player? And did you ever see or feel that he could go on and become such a success that he has done with England?
Well, yeah, maybe, because he was a very serious guy when he was a player. I'm talking as he was as a player now.
Yes.
Very curious. I think he noticed in a good way, I think, everything we did in training. So if you had asked me at that time, maybe yes. I think he showed that. And in my past, I had Mancini, for example, and I knew that he should be a manager, for sure, because he was thinking football 24 hours a day, always. And football was his life, and he asked, why are we doing this? Can't we do like this? And things like that. Then I had Inzaghi. Now I'm talking about Italian football players.
Yeah.
And I never thought that he should be a coach, but he became Lazio coach. Now he's Inter coach. So you never know who's going to be a coach or not. But Southgate, yes, I would have said yes.
Okay. And what about Wayne Rooney? So when Wayne became a manager, that was a surprise. But he's doing very well at Derby.
You have to remember that I had Rooney when he was 17 and, I guess until he was 22, something like that.
Okay, yeah.
And if you had asked me then if he would be a coach, maybe not. But he's doing well, and I really hope that he will be successful. And I met him last year, or this, I don't remember, last year. And he's a grown-up man today, and I think he's doing a good job. And I really, really hope that he will be as good manager as he was as a player. Then he will be very good.
Yeah, of course. I saw a quote yesterday, came up on YouTube, I think from the Sun newspaper, and he basically said he was offered the Everton job, but he turned that down and he wanted to stay with Derby, but he wants to keep it so that he can prepare himself at some point in the future to be Manchester United manager. That's what he wants to do.
Well, who knows? Maybe.
Yeah.
But I think it's good for everyone who wants to be a manager that don't go too far, too quick.
Yeah,
it's very important to learn. I'm sure that Rooney has nothing to learn about football on the pitch, but a lot of things around to be a manager of a big club, to be a manager in any club. But if you are in a big club, of course the pressure is there, and you have to handle not only players, you have to handle the press, the media, supporters, sponsors. It's a big job if you talk about United. Huge job.
How do you handle pressure as a manager, Sven? How do you handle it?
Well, I think you should prepare yourself that life in football is beautiful and it's very tough sometimes. But that's football, that's sport. And you know, before you take any job in football, you will not win every game. That's absolutely impossible for any team in the world. You can win big trophies and you can miss it on the last game, or you have a bad season, and that will happen. And then it's very important, and stand up and don't be too worried. Stick to your principles normally. Try not to change every time you are criticized, because you cannot change every month the system of playing and things like that. Try to do what you think is the right thing. But you never know what's happening in football, and that's why people go in there and look at it.
That's it. That's why it's so interesting. It's always different. You never know necessarily what's coming, and that's what keeps it such an exciting and passionate and intriguing game for all of us. So
yes,
Sven, it's been a pleasure this morning. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Tom. And, we speak next week.
We'll do next week, part 2, and you'll have your all-time England team and all-time
I will prepare
World 11. What's that?
I will prepare myself, I said.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, fantastic.
Thank you, Tom. Sven. Take care.
God bless. See you next week. Take care, Sven. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.